Good morning. I wanted to go over a few things that will help you with this activity. Unit 1, Practice 2, Evaluating Expressions, Math Excel. So this activity is going to be in Envision Mathematics, but it's been a while since we've logged in, so I wanted to show you how to do that and then some of the tools that are available to you. So under step 2 of this activity, I have included a link to the login screen and also the Desmos calculator, but there actually is a calculator already available within Envision, and I will show you that today. So if I go ahead and click on that, for you guys, it's going to take you to the login screen. So log in with your Westminster username and password. I'm already logged in. So then once you get to this screen, on the right-hand side here where it says Savas Realize, that's where you're going to click to actually get into your classes. Before I move on, the other thing I wanted to show you, just so that you know, if I don't put a link in Empower, which I normally will, you can also access this through the Westminster Public Schools homepage. If you go to Online Apps, Envision Mathematics, then you can go directly in and log directly into Envision without going through Empower. So once we do that, if we go back to your home screen, once you get to this page, you're going to click on Classes. Most of you will have just one class pop up, but if you have multiple classes, then find Integrated Math 1. So I'm just going to pick one of my classes. And then once you get logged in, you should see all of these activities have already been assigned to you. Your beginning of the year assessment, if you didn't finish that, may still show up. So even if you didn't finish and you haven't turned it in yet, please go ahead and just submit that so that I know you've at least attempted it, or go ahead and finish that now. And then you have 3 additional activities. The first activity that we're going to look at is the examples. So we're going to do Unit 1, Lesson 1, Example 2. If you click on it, it may have you click on it again and then it'll open, but mine's slightly different. So I'm just going to go to Preview so we can look at that activity together. One of the features in Envision that might help you is this little speaker up here, and it'll actually read the problem to you. So let's go ahead and do that.
The expression 9 and 99 hundredths times D plus 12 and 99 hundredths times C can be used to find the total cost of D pounds of almonds and C pounds of cashews. How much did it cost to buy 1 1/2 pounds of almonds and 2 1/2 pounds of cashews?
Okay, so the first part of the examples will actually show you how to solve it. And then when we go to the second part, it will have you complete the problem yourself. So they're giving us the expression right here that we need to use. And it tells us that D is the number of almonds. So what we're going to do is take 1 1/2 pounds of almonds, and we're going to substitute that value in for D. So we're going to look at that in a second. So if I hit the next button, it tells me that I want to evaluate the expression, total cost of almonds plus the total cost of cashews. And in order to do that, I use the expression that was given to me in that word problem, which means I'm going to take this value and substitute 1 1/2 in for D. And then I have 2 1/2 pounds of cashews, so I substitute that value in for C. The other thing that I want to point out is the word of. That in math is referring to multiplication. So if you notice, we're taking $9.99 times 1 1/2, and that's because of the word of. Then if we actually solve that, it shows you the math. So you keep clicking next, and then it gives you the answer, but then you want to put it in terms of what does that actually mean? So 47.46 is talking about the cost of buying 1 1/2 pounds of almonds and 2 1/2 pounds of cashews. Okay, so this kind of walks you through, and you can go through at your own pace and let me know if you have any questions on that. But then if you go down here at the bottom, go to number 2, this one's asking you to complete it yourself. So again, you could hit the speaker, but we're just going to talk through it, and I want to show you some of the features. So on this one, you actually write on it. So there's a pencil where you can actually write on here if you wanted. Or you can use place text, which I think is easier to do. And it'll give you a little box. So if you click off of it, then you can select it and drag it wherever you want. So if we read this problem, it tells us that the cost to rent a scooter is $15.50 per hour, and the cost to rent a watercraft is $22.80 per hour. And it gives us the expression to use. So we want to use the expression 15.5S plus 22.8W to determine how much it would cost to rent a scooter for 3.5 hours and a watercraft for 1 3/4 hours. So the first thing that I would recommend is completing this problem on paper. So what you should notice is that's the expression we want to use, and our value of S for scooter is going to be 3.5 hours. And then our W, which stands for watercraft, will be the 1 3/4 hours. So the reason I say write it down on a piece of paper is once you start typing it, you would have to like flip back and forth from the editor. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So if I open a text box over on the right, and then if I click off, I can then click back on it and drag it to where I want it to be if it's kind of in the middle of your problem. So then you can type. So if I want to type like 15.5, I can type that right here. But then if I want to put in a fraction, there is an editor. So let's say I want to put that in a different color. So I'm going to use red. Now, if I click on this division sign, I can use parentheses and then use this mixed number, which would be 3.5. And if I close it, it puts that value in for me. And then if I want to change it back, plus, and 22.8. And let's say I want to use blue for the watercraft for 1 3/4. So if I go back into my editor, whoops, use mixed number again. So that would show your substitution. And then basically what that means, whatever you're putting in the calculator is what you should show me as your work. You can show me more work like they did in the example where you actually multiply 15.5 and 3.5 and then multiply 22.8 and 1 3/4 and then combine those together. But you can put this whole thing in the calculator to solve it. So I put a link to the Desmos calculator, or up in the right-hand corner here where it says tools, there's a bunch of different calculators. The one I would recommend is this Desmos Scientific Calculator. So then we can type in our problem exactly as is. So I can do 15.5 parentheses 3. And then if I just hit the fraction button, it makes that a fraction. So I want to hit space and then put in my fraction 1/2. Okay, and then plus 22.8 parentheses 1 space 3/4. And you can use your keyboard, or you can use the number pad that they're showing for you either way. So then once you have that, it gives you your answer here over on the right. So 94.15 would be my answer. So if I go back, and I can go back in here and then just type in 94.8 and then maybe enter down, and then what does that answer actually mean? You could just put the total cost for renting the scooter and the watercraft would be $94.15. And then what you would do is this then would get submitted to me. So you may have to hit another arrow at the bottom, or it'll automatically submit it so I can see your work and see your answers. So then if you have any questions, let me know, but this would give you practice. So once you finish this example, then you're going to go back, or you'll submit it, and then it should take you back to your home screen. And then you can do this second example, Unit 1, Lesson 1, Example 3. And if you go into that same type of thing, it's going to give you an example first, and it'll show you the work for it. And then you can move on and you'll do one problem on your own. Okay. And finally, in this activity, then there's a bunch of practice problems. So this one, once you go into that, you complete, so you'll get started. It'll tell you how many questions. So there's 10 questions total. So you'll kind of work through these. These are a little bit nicer because it kind of gives you a setup, and you can type in up at the top. There is some like question help, or it let you view an example, watch a video that may help you that goes with that problem. You have math tools. So if you need any of these that might help you a little bit, or if you need a calculator, it'll again take you to calculator. This one's set up a little bit different with your fractions and things. So if you want to stay consistent, you could just leave your Desmos calculator open and then just flip back and forth. Okay, so that kind of goes through. If you miss it, so it'll tell you to try again. And then if you get it incorrect again, then it'll give you the option to try another problem that's similar to it. If you're constantly getting that problem wrong, you can skip it and come back to it, but you do need to get 75% of the questions correct in order for this to count as a piece of evidence for you. But again, you can keep getting a new problem, and it'll explain the answers to you and that kind of thing. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions at all. And again, got some tools to help you use your calculator and so forth. Okay, so I hope this helps to get you started, and have a good day.